A warm welcome to you, and thank you for joining us on the program. A new climate analysis report has sounded the alarm, this time for Africa. 2 out of 3 cities on the continent are at extreme risk of the threats posed by climate change. Issuing the warning, the British risk consultancy firm Verisk Maplecroft says 2/3 of African cities could be affected by global warming in 2035. It attributes the risk to rapid population growth and poor infrastructure.
Bangui in Central Africa and Monrovia and Liberia are among the most at-risk cities. So how is this ranking established in the first place? The index uses about 50 existing data, including economic factors and demographic projections. If we take Kinshasa, for instance, 13.2 million inhabitants are already regularly affected by floods. So by 2035, it is estimated that the city's population will double. As a result, disruptions related to weather events are likely to increase.
Dante Alighieri-Dispata is the founder and CEO of Risk Cooperative based in Washington, D.C., USA. He joins us now. Thank you for joining us, Dante. A new report released Wednesday by the UK risk analysis firm Verisk Maplecroft warns that 2/3 of African cities will be unable to withstand the shocks of climate change and are, as such, are at extreme risk. I beg your pardon. What do you make of this report, Dante?
Well, I think it's not surprising that many African cities are being called out in this manner. That one of the unfortunate aspects of climate change is that the countries and the companies that are the worst polluters and the worst emitters don't directly bear the consequences of those actions, and it's largely in developing and emerging countries where you start to see those impacts firsthand. So it is unfortunate but not surprising that African cities are being identified in this manner.
Dante, of the 10 most endangered cities in the world, 8 are said to be in Africa. Do you think the continent is now bearing a brunt from the effects of what it has taken to industrialize the West?
Yeah, and there too is one of the major challenges. If you think of it this way, that already we're seeing massive effects due to climate change affecting the world. In many ways, the migration crisis from sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East is born from climate pressure and climate change. And so what this type of report suggests is that, what is today a migration crisis of hundreds of thousands of people may very well become a migration crisis of hundreds of millions of people. And if Europe and integration in Europe has already suffered at the hands of a few 100,000 migrants, and you already see a lot of pressure around that, how will the world contend with these types of major changes? And frankly, how will African countries and regions prepare for what is a pretty obvious medium-term to long-term risk?
So what should be done now? What do you think should be done to reverse this ugly trend, or this dangerous trend?
So here's the biggest opportunity on the planet. I've long argued in all the talks that I give and in the work that I do in my company that investing in resilience is humanity's not only single biggest market opportunity, it's the single most urgent thing we have to do. And we have to do that in equal footing. All too often, African countries and many developing countries are last in line. So we have to figure out how to move up the market in lockstep, so that this incorporates investments, it incorporates investments in resilience, human adaptation, and also expanding the net of insurance that can be provided around the world, for which Africa in particular is falling behind. But here too, it's a big opportunity, and there's enough capital on the planet to resolve these issues. We just need to deploy it much better.